Let's go ahead and begin with our overview of the Fall 1 submission. Here we'll provide general and background information related to the student profile and Fall 1 data population, and introduce key concepts related to the data submission. CalPADS operates much like a student information system. Once a student enrolls into an LEA, whether it be a district or a school, the student records must be maintained. Student information systems are designed to meet school needs, while CalPADS has been designed to meet state and federal reporting requirements. This slide shows a flowchart illustrating the data lifecycle for data in CalPADS. We begin on the far left-hand side with the student information system, where LEAs continually maintain student data at the local level. The majority of LEAs use batch file submission, in which you will need to extract this data from the local SIS and submit the extracted batch file to CalPADS in order to get the data into the CalPADS system. In order to meet reporting requirements while preserving and protecting the personal nature of student data, each student must be assigned a statewide student identification number, or SSID. Once the SSID is obtained, a student's enrollment and associated data can be reported and tied to the student in CalPADS. This process of obtaining SSIDs and reporting student information is called SSID enrollment. Above the SIS, we see the Special Education Data System, or SEDS, which houses data and information on special education meetings, plans, statuses, and services. Data on students with disabilities is transferred to CalPADS directly through the Application Programming Interface, or API, with no action needed on the part of CalPADS coordinators to submit these records. CalPADS coordinators will, however, need to resolve any validation errors that arise in CalPADS. Once the data arrives in CalPADS, it will be subject to input validation rules, or IVRs. If the submission triggers fatal input validation rules, the files will be rejected and you will be required to resubmit. If it triggers warning IVRs, you should do your due diligence and resolve these errors as well, though they did not prevent the file from being posted or the data from entering into the CalPADS system. Once your data has been submitted, the data will be in the CalPADS ODS. That data will then be subject to certification validation rules, or CVRs, as well as certified data discrepancies, or CDDs. These are essentially completeness and reasonability checks. CVR errors and CDDs arise when the data is already in the system, but must be resolved before you are able to review reports and certify your data in CalPADS. While the data is housed in CalPADS, it is sent to other sources in line with reporting purposes, such as TOMS for assessment purposes, and the California Department of Social Services database for direct certification of foster youth. In Fall 1, you will submit the student profile records. Student profile records include the student enrollment, or SENR, student information, or SINF, student English language acquisition, or SELA, student programs, or SPRG, as well as the new special education record types, including the meetings, or MEET file, the students with disability status file, or SWDS, the plan file, and the serve file. These 4 file types are new to the 23 to 24 academic year and are relevant in Fall 1 and in end of year 4. SENR, SINF, SELA, and SPRG records are extracted from the local SIS and submitted via batch file upload to CalPADS, or otherwise submitted to CalPADS individually in online maintenance. The 4 special education file types will be submitted from your SEDS system to CalPADS via the API, with no action on your part other than correcting errors and validating the completeness and reasonability of reports that draw from these file types. The 8 files required for Fall 1 comprise the student profile. The SENR file type comes first and is highlighted as a centerpiece to the student profile on this slide. The SENR file establishes LEA ownership of the student in CalPADS. Once you submit the SENR and have ownership of student records, you can go on to submit the other file types required for Fall 1. The student information, student English language acquisition, and student program records are extracted from your local SIS and uploaded to CalPADS, or otherwise uploaded individually via online maintenance. The meet, status, plan, and serve file types for students with disabilities are transferred directly into CalPADS via the API from the Special Education Data System. These are systems like SACE, Cirrus, and Welligent. This API transfer is an automated process and occurs nightly. The student profile data population that is the basis for Fall 1 is the building block for the rest of the data reporting requirements in CalPADS. Student profile records determine the services and course enrollments in Fall 2, CTE participation in EOY 1, program participation in EOY 2, exemptions and expectations for absence and attendance in EOY 3, as well as the student with disability data reported in EOY 4. These are just a few of the examples of how record types initially submitted during the Fall 1 data collection are relevant to or determine the data in future submissions throughout the year. Based on the file types collected and the information contained in these file types, these are the departments involved in the Fall 1 submission: registrars, counselors, and principals, English Learner Services staff, NSLP program staff, special education staff, and SELPA directors all have involvement in the Fall 1 submission. Because of this, we recommend you build strong relationships with the relevant staff in these departments. This kind of coalition building is a key competency and indicator for success in CalPADS submissions. Student data changes frequently and should be updated on an ongoing basis. Keeping student enrollment, demographic, and program eligibility data current in CalPADS has the following benefits for you and your LEA. Keeping your data current makes it easier to select the correct SSIDs for transferring students. Keeping your data current ensures that LEAs have access to current data, helping the LEAs place new students in appropriate programs. Keeping your data current minimizes the LEA workload during snapshot collection windows. And keeping your data current ensures that the CalPADS ODS is up to date for assessments, state matching, and accountability purposes. Ongoing maintenance has the added benefit of ease of use in decision-making and allows for the most accurate real-time data to be used in decision-making. So how frequently should student data be maintained? We recommend ongoing and consistent maintenance of records in CalPADS. There are, however, several factors that impact how often data is maintained in CalPADS. The first factor impacting frequency of CalPADS record maintenance is local enrollment procedures. You will have to manage expectations and competing responsibilities with a level of support and collaboration. While reporting data in CalPADS is a priority, there are other duties and tasks at your LEA that must be done, and time and expectations will have to be managed and prioritized. This will have an impact on how often CalPADS records are maintained, but should be managed in a way as to not hinder CalPADS reporting and certification of a given data submission. The second factor is local reporting needs. SSIDs for the LPAC and CASP, pre-ID, direct certification and foster youth matching, as well as special education services. You will need to report these locally and will be submitting and maintaining records in CalPADS to enable the use and reporting of these services. The third factor impacting frequency of CalPADS record maintenance is assessments in the TOMS system. Although these three umbrellas will impact frequency of record maintenance in CalPADS, CalPADS data should be submitted, posted, reviewed, and certified with awareness or mindfulness of the CalPADS reporting deadlines, milestones, and the submission timeline. LEAs should be aware that there are excellent reference documents available to download for guidance on different aspects of CalPADS reporting. The CalPADS user manual on the top left of the slide here contains all the essential information for CalPADS users to make full use of the system. It includes a description of the system functions and capabilities, contingencies and alternate modes of operation, and step-by-step procedures for system access and use. It also serves as a gateway to additional state compliance resources, submission, and report analysis tools. And we've highlighted in this screenshot here that if you click functionality map on the ribbon at the top of the page in the CalPADS user manual, and then online maintenance and student maintenance, you can find details for each of the file types submitted to CalPADS, and that includes the student profile file types. So we have the SSID enrollment here, that's the SENR, the student information or SINF here, student programs or SPRG, and student English language acquisition or SELA. The user manual is currently a bit outdated with the special education record types and includes only the former SPED and SSRV records, though we are currently working on updating the user manual to include the 4 new record types for students with disabilities. Next is the CDE webpage for CalPADS system documentation. That's in the top right or center right of the slide here. The CDE webpage for CalPADS system documentation contains several essential guidance documents. It contains the CalPADS code sets with the current code values in CalPADS for fields with coded value data elements. It includes the CalPADS file specifications or CFS, which provides data submission requirements at the individual field or file specification level, as well as information on CalPADS file processing methods. It includes the error list with descriptions and suggested resolutions for each error generated when managing data in CalPADS. And it includes the valid code combinations document, which lists codes that can only be used in specific combination with other fields or elements as enforced by validation errors. In addition to this, the CSIS YouTube training channel on the bottom right here contains recordings of all of our CalPADS training content, including our orientation, basics, data population, reporting and certification, and advanced courses, as well as more specific topics. The CSIS website on the bottom left contains a drop-down menu for CalPADS from which you are able to access Bridge, our learning management system. Since we're all in the live training session today, I'll assume that we're all able to access Bridge.